live right now because there was some sort of cyber cloud issue thing today, and YouTube Live has been down for the majority of the day, but we're recording. IT has it, yes, it won't be streaming live, and IT will upload it when we're done with the meeting.
Is 4 a quorum?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought so. Let's make sure of this.
Yeah.
I know Eric's not gonna be here.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be here. But- Okay, let's keep going then. That's fine. I'll call this meeting to order, 7:01 PM, October the 20th, and a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first, next item on the agenda is guest audience comments, and after that, approval of meeting minutes. We have 2 meeting minutes to approve. A special meeting back on July 22nd, when we had the referendum, and then a regular meeting on September the 8th. Will be the chairman's report. We're gonna hear a review of the exit poll comments, and I've prepared a handout for the rest of us. Interesting information. Item B in the chairman's report is Board of Assessment Appeals Fall Report. Then our typical board and subcommittee reports. And at the end of that, presentation of Town of East Haddam draft outlook under financial policies. Then follows the first selectman's report, finance director's report, all the monies that go with that, and the figures, old business, new business, got 3 things under new business, and then adjournment. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda for this regular meeting? Okay, thank you very much. And great, Maureen's here. So with that, we'll go now to guest and audience comments. Do you have any comments, Mike? You're the only guest we have today.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then we move on to approval of the meeting minutes. And we have 2 to approve, one for July the 22nd, the other for September the 8th. May I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the special meeting of July 22nd, 2025?
So moved.
Joe moves, there's a second.
Second.
Bill seconds. Any discussion, any additions or corrections?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under item 8, new business, small in item B, first, the acceptance of the early voting grant. We have any recollection or hint as to who moved to accept it and who moved or seconded the motion? There are blanks there. There are also blanks on item C.
Oh, those are our notes and motions for tonight.
Oh,
So keep going a little bit
I'm sorry.
farther. Yep, that's our.
I guess it pays to be awake, sorry.
Looks too close to meeting minutes, I just.
They do.
They give them a different color.
It's dated September 8th, so I think that might be why you thought it was the
Oh,
minutes.
right. Oh, sorry, guys, that's October
I
20th.
thought the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so one
So
more
this-
page is the July 20th minutes is actually when we set the mill rate, and then the September 8th minutes from the
Oh,
last
keep going.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going, sorry. Tripped you up, Harvey.
Switch.
Well, thanks for waking us up. That's great. So we're back to July 22nd, special meeting. We have a motion on the floor, on the table, for for accepting these meeting minutes as presented. But before we do that, any additions or corrections? I couldn't find any myself. There being none, all those in favor of approving these meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, meeting minutes are approved unanimously. Now we go on to the second and last set of meeting minutes for the regular meeting of September the 8th. And May I hear a motion to approve these meeting minutes? So moved.
Second,
And Maureen seconds. Thank you very much. Are there any additions or corrections? I have one. Let's see. If you go to, let me speak it right. Go to the top of page 2. Second sentence, right-hand corner, Black Ridge Golf Course.
Oh, yeah.
That was repeated 1, 2, 3 times. I believe that's Black
Okay.
Birch.
Yep, yep. Thank
I
you.
don't want to get any rumors started about a golf course.
About the wrong golf course, sure.
this is the
It's
next
even
one.
worse. Thank you. I didn't even catch that when I read through it.
Okay, any other additions or corrections for the meeting minutes? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is passed unanimously.
I need to abstain, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, make a note of that. That's right, Joe wasn't here. Joe Corbett abstains from the approval of the meeting minutes. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Next item on the agenda is review of Board of Assessment Appeals Fall Report. Pretty short and sweet.
Exit poll comments.
Is something wrong?
You're one
You're
ahead of yourself.
Oh.
I'm sorry to say, Todd.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Oh, man, thank you very much. I'm getting too fast here. Okay, I believe Maureen also prepared. I made a little report. I thought go through my 49 comments was very interesting. So could you pass these along? Let me see, I think I got enough. Just a minute. For sure. Maybe we'll pass that down to Eileen. They give you the Eileen.
I think we got an extra here.
Oh, the extra, thank you.
Yeah, Tom, Valerie.
Yeah, a copy for Valerie,
Thank you. Perfect.
so we're all set. Okay, all right, what I've got here is the top page is basically a numerical summary of what's the information to contain in the back 2 pages. And so bottom of this is the highlights. I'll just focus on there because I don't want to spend too much time on this, although it's very interesting. First of all, the comments, most of the comments were about education. The education folks are out there still very interested, as they should be. And but the numbers are interesting. We had, you recall, 2 referendums and we had 2 exit polls. And the responses from the participants in the exit polls are different from the first response. And I tried to explain that there and summarize it at the bottom of the page under the horizontal black line. And I separated 2 categories: Board of Education and town government. And I used the 3 markers, ratings that Harvey proposed: acceptable, too high, and too low. Basically, that's the data we got from the input. And what I see in that, going from the exit poll of the first referendum to the exit poll of the second referendum, is for the Board of Education the Board of Education budget being acceptable. I saw a slight improvement. It's basically about the same, probably within margin of error. So not much change there, but it was to the positive side. So it appears that what we did in the second referendum was more favorable, slightly. For Board of Education being too high, a lot of folks in the first referendum exit poll thought it was too high, 46.3%. But when it came to the second referendum, that too high metric fell to 32.7%, about a 12-14% drop. So I call that a big improvement. So the response to that was noticed and taken. And then going to the next line down, Board of Education being too low, and it was interesting, for my 49 samples, is that for the first referendum, about 28% of the folks thought the Board of Education budget was too low. But then when we came back with the exit poll after the second referendum, 42.9% thought it was too low. So it was once we cut the budget, a lot of folks said, no, that's too low. So that's something to keep an eye on. Any questions so far about the board education numbers? And going down to town government, the same method, same process, acceptable. Back in the first referendum, my batch is 35. I'm going from my batch as the baseline, assuming that's a sample of everybody else's batch. So 35.2% thought it was acceptable. But after the second referendum, that jumped to 55.1%. So people thought we were doing the right thing, apparently. I call that a big improvement. For town government being too high a budget, 44.4% after the first referendum thought that was the case. But then we came back after the second referendum, that dropped to 26.5%. So a lot of folks were responding to the different budgets in a very big way. I call that a very big improvement. And then for town government being too low, 20.4% thought it was too low in the first referendum, and in the second referendum, only 16.3% thought it was too low. So I call that a modest improvement. So on the low side, things changed everywhere, but they all seem to respond to the changed budget that we proposed. So it looks like we're on the right track. But the next message I get from that is that people are still concerned. People are still watching the numbers, and education made most of the comments. And if you want, I'll read some of them. One was interesting. Support our schools and find more permanent fix for BB Road. So we're looking on the roads too, right?
Check, and that bridge.
So, and again, no further cuts to education. Another one is, as a town, we do not spend enough on our education. Another one in here, we have to quit, quote, kicking the can down the road. Let's invest in our community and our youth. We're certainly doing that as much as we can, especially with the roads. So, and another one simply said, fully fund schools. Cut and dry. Okay, and we have a fixed budget. Another comment was, we have a fixed budget. Show details of how money is spent in the Board of Ed. And another one was, we should vote on education in town separately. We need more transparency about line item spending for education and for the town. And another interesting comment was, there's a lot of talk about regionalization of the schools because we have 3 buildings now. Maybe we can go to 2 based on the enrollment we've got. This person said, why not think about regionalizing administration positions? And this person was really strong too. Put the cameras in and collect revenue for speeders. They fly up my road, make them pay before they hurt someone. I thought that was appropriate. People need to slow down. Okay, any other questions or comments? I colored it so that it'd be easier to see. The numbers, I think, tell the same story, but that's the colors are the details. The colors and the X's are the details. If there are no other questions, Maureen, you want to talk about
Yeah, I just
stuff?
had a couple. Again, say a lot of the same stuff you had. There was just a few comments. I had a lot of comments on too high. One about we should consider just doing away with one of the, combining the schools down to 2 schools. So I don't know if that's something we can bring up with the Board of Education. That wouldn't be something we would spearhead, but we could certainly bring it up with them. Taxes too high. One person said that what we came back with, the reduction we came back with was a slap in the face. They didn't think we reduced it enough the second time around. And I just wanted 2 comments that I got about the Board of Ed being too low was, education is being defunded, and I won't vote for a budget that lowers the Board of Ed budget. So I just want to go on record as saying, I know we've mentioned it before, but I just want to say it one more time. The Board of Ed budget was increased. Even the reduction that we made was an increase year over year. So the Board of Ed budget was not reduced year over year. So I just want to say that out loud. I did get one that people said they liked the phone reminder, so just a nice positive feedback
good to
there. And 2 people commented to thank the Board of Ed and Board of Finance for all our work on the budget. So I just wanted to relay that comment as well, those 2 comments.
Yes, thank you, Maureen, because I had a comment like that, of that nature. The boards are elected to do their best and should be supported. We need to support our kids and the work that is done to create a meaningful budget. This is another
Yeah.
comment. These people are volunteers and deserve respect. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me to do that. Any other questions or comments? Harvey, thank you very much for doing all the work to put these samples together, get them sorted out, and not letting us forget to do it.
My turn?
Oh, yes, it's your turn.
I was much less ambitious than you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't go back to look at the first referendum, just comments from the second. So of the 51 exit poll responses I was asked to review, there were 32 responses with comments. 11 advocated for the school system, included were, quote, "Our schools are bare bones," close quote, and, quote, and there is a need for more money for education and for youth and family programs and mental health services, close quote. 5 of the comments spoke to school spending as too high, including a mention of administrative costs. 7 comments addressed the proposed budget as a whole, finding both the town and the Board of Education budget increases too high. Included were the opinions that the rate of tax increases are, quote, unsustainable, quote, will push people who were born here out, quote, East Haddam will no longer be affordable, and, quote, only the elites will be able to live here. Of the remaining comments, they were varied and difficult to summarize, but also mentioned the need for revenue growth, especially from new business, which should be welcomed, and the need for an improvement in the planning and budgeting process.
Okay. Well, thank you, Harvey. It was
Not what we got.
that's right, very interesting and rewarding exercise. Okay. Any other questions, comments regarding the exit poll? All right, let's then we'll move on to item B. Review of the board assessment and fall report. I found it once. Is it in the packet? or is it-
Yeah.
It's after,
Comes
right after the minutes, on the back side of the September 22nd minutes.
Page, right after the last page of the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yes,
It's on the back.
thank you. I got it now. That fooled me, put it in the
I
backside.
try to print double-sided,
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
otherwise it would be so many pages.
Yeah, I know. No, I just have to get used to it.
So the answer is, they didn't make any adjustments.
Yeah.
But they provide the report quarterly to
Yeah.
the board.
Yeah, no, as is required.
We have to, is this just for our review, or do we have
Yep,
to?
it's just for our review, always,
Okay.
even when it's given to us.
Okay. Not much cost associated with this activity either.
Cheap price, the price.
Okay. All right, there being no other comments, questions, we'll move on to item C on the chairman's report. board subcommittee reports. For communications, I have nothing to report unless Bill's got something he wants to bring up. And going into the next year, we'll do it again. And hopefully we'll end up with the situation we had last spring. And, okay, there's nothing more from communications, then we move on to long-range capital improvements committee.
As perhaps you all recall, I had a meeting or so ago circulated a suggestion about how we could improve, streamline, make work a little bit more smoothly with less bumps in the road for our long-range capital planning. And I ran my mouth. I made a promise, I wrote a check I can't cash tonight. So I said we would have something in more detail this evening, but Val and I got tied up with what will come a little bit further in the agenda. And so our hope is, our aspiration is to have something for our regular November meeting.
Okay, that's good.
Examples and how it would work and all that good stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Harvey.
Yes.
Looking forward to November.
If I were in your shoes, I would be looking forward with hope and fear.
Oh dear.
I mean, if you chase if you're the dog and chases the car and catch it, now what? I'm sure you know that. You know what you're up to.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Learning every day too. Well, thank you, Harvey.
Yes, sir.
So, next item is financial policies. This is a presentation of the draft outlook. You see a lot of paper on our desks. And, you want to start with that?
I believe you have in your packet a whole big thing
Yep,
about-
there's a Outlook, like almost like a table of contents page, and then a packet stapled separately that starts with a population graph. Yes, we have to plug this in. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry, Harvey. Let's do
I
that.
think well, it'll make it easier for Mike
Yeah.
and
it
Irene
shouldn't
and
take-
Bill and I, but not necessarily.
Yeah,
But we got another screen.
yeah, once we can get this bill, sorry.
It's all right.
While Val is doing
I'm
that,
moving in.
let me,
Please see.
in the interest of time, let me start off. Our Board of Finance budget policy calls for something that it calls a 5-year financial outlook. But it doesn't define what an outlook would be. Just, it's gotta be 5 years, but other than that, do what you want. So, first of all, so Val and I took a swing at doing something. And I believe the motivation in the policy was if we collectively had something in front of us before we jumped into the budget process that told us sort of the history, where we are, and then some sort of a projection forward of if we don't do anything different, where will we end up? Do we like it? Don't we like it? And so on. And this is a draft. It's a work in progress. So if there are things in here you think are, well, let me start the sentence differently. If there are things you would like to have that would have included but didn't, yell and holler. If there are things that we included that you think are not very helpful, say so. if there are sort of changes to the method of presentation that you think would be more helpful to you, say so. It's a work in progress. It's not fixed in stone. We can massage it as we go along. So anyway, Val and I thought that the first thing that might be helpful in thinking about developing a budget and thinking about not just the next budget year, but future budget years. Where did we come from? Where did we come from and where are we now? So the first is the general topic of demographics. And so on a little snazzy line chart here is what our population has done from 2019 to today. And it jumped up in 2021 and then is kind of leveled off. Right? We're not growing like Topsy. So far, so good?
I have one question.
Yes, please.
The source, it'd be nice, the source of the information.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get that. We have lots of sources to put on, yeah, we're just showing you guys drafts.
We didn't make it up. It's either the state numbers or
It's
the
the state numbers.
Census Bureau.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do
thank
we
you.
not have 2020 or?
No, they didn't. The CERT profile wasn't there in 2020. Yeah, so there's a little bit of
Yeah, so
funky
clearly it's somewhere in
19 to
between
21
19
data
and
along the
21.
way, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So far, so good?
It's a quick question. I ask you this because you look at it. From 19 to 21, it's about a 700 person growth.
Seems hard to swallow, quite
Why?
frankly.
If I were, I don't know.
Okay, I mean, my only reason is,
My
People moved here
I
after
know,
COVID.
I guess
obviously
would
they
be
did,
that
but
people wanted to get out of dense populations to the boonies
I don't
and
think we had enough empty inventory to house 700 people. But I'm not gonna argue your numbers.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But we're gonna move in with my in-laws in East Haddam. We're gonna illegally occupy our summer cottage
Yeah.
and so on. So I don't really know the answer. It's just a guess, but
Thank you,
I-
Harvey.
if I can, my only reason for asking
yes.
is, could what happened from 19 to 21, that 700 person growth, could it repeat itself? In other words, if we understood why that occurred,
Yes.
then can we anticipate the potential of that occurring again? So that we would go from roughly 9,000, for instance, to 9,700.
Right.
And then that changes services,
Yes.
school, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if you'll bear with me a little
Yep.
bit, when we get to the end, we'll get to a projection of population. Okay? So the next super duper slide is all the rainbow colors, but what it plots,
I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger. There we go.
what it plots is the age of population in groupings of 10 years over time. Right? And I don't know, the blue line that sticks way out, that's 2021, I don't know, but it's the same year that you were questioning, Bill, with a lot of middle-aged people
Moving in.
moving in. But generally it shows that there's not other than the fact that we're aging, it's not terribly surprising, I don't think. I apologize, it's a little difficult to read, but. But it's also colorful, so. So unless you want to slow down and ask questions about that, we can jump to the next one.
Well, if you took the blue out, you took the blue, the high, tall blue line out, what does that tell you?
You're gonna have to take out the whole year of 2021.
Well, I think,
You know,
I
that's the year.
don't want to put words in Todd's mouth. But if we were to assume that it was an anomaly
Right.
and it was a little bit shorter,
Yeah,
It doesn't, I don't think it materially changes the overall message. So if we jump to the next one.
it makes
It
it,
looks like older people are moving here, either way.
and it makes it consistent
Yeah.
with the graph
You know,
before.
Did you look at the top two groups there? Those numbers are getting higher.
That's what it shows.
The top three groups.
So if we jump to the next snazzy slide.
Just keep adjusting the pages as we go.
What we wanted to do here was to look at age groupings. And what stands out to me is that the 60 to 80 plus are higher than the 0 to 19. There are more people in my age range than there are school eligible population. And what I think is something that may have to do with housing availability, housing costs, and so on, is the 20 to 40 age bracket is also a little unsettling in that we'd like people younger than I in town. The previous graph showed we're aging, and this graph shows, or this bar chart kind of shows how dramatically our population is. Okay, ready to jump ahead? The next slide, thing to think about as we look at budgeting and how what we do in terms of taxation affects people is also from census state government numbers, the median income. And where we sit now in 2025, it's a little over, it's about, I think 108,000, give or take a little bit. And it's the median income. So there are as many, I guess, income tax report filings higher than 180 and the same number below. It's the median. And so you can digest it at your will, I'll keep talking. What I and Val thought might be an interesting graph thing is, okay, let's take the 2025 incomes and break them down by decile. So how many people are under 20 grand a year? How many people 20 to 40, over 100, 200, 250, $1.5 million. This tells you kind of a big picture, but what's the spread of incomes in town? And we haven't found the source for that yet, but we'll keep digging. So far, so good?
Just a question.
Yes.
Look at the source. What about the Connecticut Department of Revenue? Would they have statistics to show that? I mean, they collect income taxes, and what it shows on that is gross income and taxable.
We will research.
I'm looking the same thing on the IRS. I mean, I'm assuming that they make that kind of statistical analysis somewhere, because it makes
Or
sense.
at least did in the past.
Right, they did, yeah. Who knows what they're doing now?
But yes, we will. We haven't given up.
Right.
Yeah, and those are two good suggestions as to sources, but
I think the question you ask is a good one, and finding out just how that breaks out, because it would be interesting. Yes, we know it's 108 below and 108 above, that's easy. But you're right, how does that 108 below break down compared to how the 108 above breaks out? Very, very interesting.
right, because as you think about, well, I'm just editorializing now, but as you think about setting a mill rate, again, editorializing, we would be maybe well-served to understand how big people's wallets are. Right? That if I'm making $300,000 a year and the mill rate goes up a bit, I probably grumble, but it ain't bad. If I'm making if I got an income of $35,000 a year and the mill rate goes up significantly, it's a problem. That's an editorial comment. So jumping ahead to sort of our tax base, over the last, 4 years, here's the grand list broken out by category. So as we all know, most of our grand list is made up of real estate, on which people pay personal property tax. There's also the category of personal property, where if I were the recipient of the Napoleon's wife's jewels that were just stolen, I would have to declare those and pay personal property on them. And then there's motor vehicles. Right? But I don't think it tells a story we didn't already know. It's basically property taxes. So jumping ahead, if we're happy. Yes, go ahead, Todd.
Stop for a minute. Property tax is a big deal. And 93.6% of the grand list in this town is for residential properties.
Yes.
And then commercial is less than that, obviously, yeah, right. So what is the trend for that year by year?
Oh, you mean commercial versus?
Yes. I think it's
Okay.
flat. I think
It goes down.
commercial goes down. Yeah, but it doesn't go down much. I mean, it's kind of flat, or is it really a steep down?
Lost two major,
4.5 to.
they went nonprofit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like a stealthy thing. We don't smell or see it. We sort of feel it when it comes tax time. Yeah.
And then the businesses that have opened up, they've been small. We had a new coffee
We-
shop,
we
we
will.
have a
Thank
new
you. We will.
consignment shop.
New consignments.
We can chart that, right?
Yes, I got a note. We'll put in a purple color to show the commercial, if that, okay? Then there's another thing that I think would be helpful that we don't have, and our new assessor is brand new and is finding her way around right now. But I think it would be interesting to look at assessments by decile. Assessments from 0 to 200,000, 200 to 4, bop, 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 bop. So is our tax base, yeah, the number of them and the dollar amount of assessment from 0 to 10 to 2 to 4, so on. So where's the money coming from? Do we have a lot of 800 to $1.5 million properties, or do we have a lot of 200 to 400 properties? Again, just to get the picture of where's the money coming from and what can the taxpayers bear. Okay? Okay, if we're happy so far, then jumping ahead, I'm trying not to take you to breakfast, so. Jumping ahead, we have budgeted revenue by category. Right. And so as we saw, since the grand list is primarily real property, property taxes have made up the lion's share. The intergovernment transfers, that's the aid we get from the state for schools and roads and so on. And includes, I guess, the Ray Fund and the Purple Fund and that.
Those are actually in the transfers and in from other funding.
Okay.
Intergovernment is really just from the state.
Okay, the state or feds.
Yep, right.
Okay, local, this little tiny green slice of local is building permits, zoning permits, dog licenses, wedding licenses, and all that good stuff, right? Doesn't amount to much. And then transfers and other funding. Val will correct me if I misstate here, but that is the purple fund, the gray fund, all that. But also, when we move money from capital savings into our annual revenue stream. Okay, I mean, it's creeping up, but it's, you know, it's a function of how much money we want to spend and how we set the mill rate.
It's in an unassigned fund balance transfers as well.
Yes, they would be in the transfers other. So far, so good. Moving ahead, we got then the expense side.
Oh, this is the revenue one. The other, do you want me to switch to the expense one?
You don't want
Yeah, you got an expense one. Well, let's, we'll do it in your order.
Sorry, well, yeah, I kept revenue together and expense together, yeah,
So-
sorry.
Every year, we sit here and take our best guess, best estimate of what our revenues are going to be. And what this tells me is that we're not the world's best prognosticators. Sometimes we think that we're going to get more revenue than we do. Other times we get more revenue than we think we were going to. And I don't have a great explanation for the cases where our revenue exceeds our expectation, except that this is just a wild guess. It may be the effect of the ARPA funding flowing in.
No, because we weren't allowed to bring that into the general fund.
So I ain't got an explanation.
Yeah, I'd have to really look at the data closer, especially between like 22 and 24, but
I think the overall story is we're not the greatest at estimating revenues.
right, and remember we had, so these are budget years on the bottom. So the 20, was it the 20, oh no, that was the 25 budget that had the extra, well, yeah, so the 24 budget would have had that extra revenue to be applied to next year, the 545,000.
Mhm.
So that's showing that
I'd also
too.
look at a longer stream here, because I think one of the things that you have to understand is probably during COVID, maybe the year out of COVID, even though we're up just a tick on 21, that, you know, any kind of building permits, things like that, that went all out the window. And, you know,
Well, I think people were actually building like crazy. I think that's what that shows.
Not building,
They were staying
renovating.
home and they were renovating, yeah. So it was
Anyway.
Now that we're
yeah,
getting out of it,
maybe.
I wonder if we
Everybody
have
fixed
more.
all their houses.
We can massage this.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah, we can look at some data
We could
points.
go back a bit.
I think it looks pretty good, and
Yeah,
I think we forecast a little conservatively because we don't want to spend money we potentially won't get. I would rather see charts that look like this than the other way around.
Yeah, recently we've been conservative.
There's just one year that's really was kind of out of whack. First year, the second year, they're very
2
close.
years we kind of missed the boat.
Go to 5.
I would-
Anyway,
Good job.
okay. So then,
next one?
Yeah.
Going back to,
so this shows the 5 years of budgeted expenses, and you can see that they're creeping up. And you can make a judgment about which category is creeping up the most. and which not so much, but
Not spending a whole lot of capital.
That's what I noticed too. Here we're
Don't have any
struggling.
money left.
Yeah, we're struggling for the future and what we need, and we're not spending it. So,
Well.
that's interesting.
jumping ahead if we
Yeah,
can.
sure,
I
yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to cut people's. And here shows that we always over budget on our expenses.
No, that's not what this shows.
We
This shows,
underspent.
right, this shows we find savings throughout the year
If you
to
want
come
to
in
say,
under budget. This is what this
Well.
shows.
at the risk of prolonging this, when I spent what, 6 or 7 years in charge of the expense budgeting for the Connecticut Mutual Life Insurance Company, they did basically the same thing. They always, come the end of the year, they're patting, we came in under budget, we came in under budget. And I finally, when I figured if they wanted to fire me, they could, I finally said, but gentlemen, this is the board of directors, gentlemen, this is like I go out and buy a size 54 suit and then look in the mirror and congratulate myself for losing weight. I mean, you did find savings during the year, and things that might have happened didn't happen. But we budget, like, by way of a silly example, that every teacher is going to stay the full academic year. But Miss Mary decides at age 50 on this salary step that she's going to leave, and we hire Miss or Mr. Smith at this salary step.
That's a good point we need to bring up during the budget.
So anyways, for what it's worth, we have a slightly different take, but anyway.
Can I make a mention on that too then?
Certainly.
Just because I have a little bit of a different take as well. So true that, definitely there's personnel issues that come in play and it takes us longer to find the right person, et cetera, so that there's a period of time where that salary's not even being paid. Absolutely. I also say that from the work that we've done on budgets, at least the work that I've done on budgets, we do cut the budget going forward to the next year as much as possible. And the fact that we come under the cut budget that we've come up with, I'd have to say that we're definitely trying to underspend and find various ways to do projects that we thought would cost us more, and we were able to figure out a way to do a whole lot less with a whole lot more. So,
No, understood.
okay.
Okay.
Just defending.
Jumping ahead.
You hit a sore spot there.
Jumping ahead if we may. I mean, I don't want to cut off discussion.
Yeah, no, keep going.
The next big thing that falls on our table is the bonding issue. And so this is basically taken from stuff we've seen before, presented by Bill Lindsay a little while ago, just before we went to the referendum on the roads, culverts, and fire apparatus. And it defines the various categories. So you've seen this. We have a target of trying to keep debt service at around $2.5 million a year. And so you, including those new projects that were just approved, we're a little above it for a while. And the white space between the blue line and all the little bars is our future bonding capacity. Right. This is just remedial because we've seen it before. The next is Bill Lindsay's demonstration that our debt service is within our Board of Finance policy, right? And the next one shows, again, oops, we jumped more than one, but that's okay. we're okay. We're within our policy. So, sort of where are we at? Here's the grand list growth in actual dollars over a bunch of years. The 2022 represents a reval.
Or was the motor vehicle tax change?
That would have affected 25. Anyway, we're gonna get to the good stuff in a minute. Jumping ahead is expense growth, right? You could ski down the hill or try to climb up the hill. Then what Val and I wrestled with is we wanted to plot the percent change in expense growth versus the percent change in the grand list. And I don't know if I'm alone in this theory, I hope not, but in order for the town's finances to be sustainable over the long haul, the rate of increase in expenses should not exceed the rate of increase in the grand list. Otherwise, we're kind of, as my grandmother would say, you're eating into capital. You should never spend capital. Just interest. But anyway, skipping ahead, Val, if you will.
All right.
So we looked at using either the actual grand list or what the state provides as an equalized grand list, which is basically based on not, your property is valued at $100,000, but it's assessed at 70% of that. So they take the 100% number and leave out local Mickey Mousing, like Val has a great story. When she lived in Glastonbury, she never got a tax bill on her horses, but when she moved to Coventry, they taxed her horses. Anyways, jumping ahead.
Those
Right.
fine show horses.
It was Columbia. They wanted to, if they were over $500, I was gonna have to pay taxes on them. One of them was 30 years old. He was not over $500.
But anyway, jumping ahead a little bit here. If we compared the rate of increase in the grand list using the equalized grand list, we'd be kind of fooling ourselves because the actual money we're going to collect is based on the actual net grand list, the 70% assessment. So this next one is good stuff, jumping ahead. So, whoops, are we one step ahead of where we wanted to be? Yes, because that's projected, and we want to show the history.
Oh, where did that one go? It wasn't.
Was the one before that? Is this the one? One before? That's the
Where's the history one?
net equalized grand list and net assessment grand list, which is the one just before that?
Yeah, it should, not quite before, but
It should have been in our earlier ones. Do you want me to grab it real quick?
if you can.
Yeah.
Because
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna unplug
this
for 1
is,
second and click around.
this is
This is
where,
projected.
Right. We have
but don't worry about the projected yet, because you have my permission. But what Val's gonna show is historically, have we been meeting the objective of keeping the percent increase in expenses less than the percent change in the grand list? And not to step on my punchline, but the answer is yes is no and yes and sometimes maybe. We haven't been doing, if you were in the class,
Concise and decisive.
if you were in the class, historically, we'd been getting at best a C+. We're not, in my, again, editorial humble opinion, most of my opinions aren't that humble, but in my opinion,
You just have to click
we
around.
need to set an objective for ourselves of, yeah, here we go. Anyway, so the orange line is the percent change in the grand list. And so in 2027, it's the blue line, I think, is the budget, and the green line is the actual expenditures.
Yep, the actuals is the blue, the green is the
Yeah, okay,
budget,
got
and
it.
the orange is the grand list.
So we budgeted more, a greater increase than the grand list increased. Right? And our actual expenses turned out to be greater. And then in 2019, for whatever reason, we lucked out and the actuals turned out less. And then, hey, everything was wonderful in 2020. Then we kind of got off the rails again, 2021, 22, and so on. And even given the big spike because of the reval, our 2025, we're still increasing expenses faster than the grand list is increasing. Am I making sense to y'all?
So that, I mean, is that on the zero line or is that slightly above the zero? Like, it looks like that.
It's percent change, so
So it looks like the percent change was 0% change. It was flat. The grand list was flat year over year.
well, between,
Almost.
like, yeah, it was like I went down this last year by 8 million. And I think that you
Well,
just,
that would be 26. Oh, no, this is the.
I'm sorry, that would have been,
26, no, right?
that's budget year, so 25 budget year. Yeah, so we didn't see that yet, to your point,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So it'll very nothing change for 26, yeah.
If you look at it this way, the grand list on that other chart showed it went down from 23 to 24 and then went up
Yeah.
in 24, 25. If you look at that chart.
Yeah, like, yeah.
So, I mean, in other words, it's very,
Yeah, this is.
They're tracking.
yeah.
But why I think this is an important. Would Val and I do this for summer vacation? I think this is a very important exhibit in that when we get a little further into my big spiel here, we need to be more careful. In order to be sustainable over time, we need to rein in and make up that sort of an agreement that the increase in our expenses will not exceed the rate of increase in our grand list. I mean, there can be fluke years and this and that, but over the long haul, to be sustainable, that's where we want to be.
I mean, I agree with you, and I think that we need to set the tone earlier in the budget
We're going to get there.
season.
Bear with me,
Yeah.
okay? You're jumping ahead to the final exam.
I have one comment.
Yes, please.
The tall orange spike, what was the,
Reval.
It's the percent increase due to the reval.
what was the effect of that on the taxpayers?
Well,
we
the
had
mill
that,
rate
right?
went down.
It kind of
but
lowers
tax
the mill
bill
rate.
didn't go down.
Yeah, right.
So went up.
If your expenses go up with it, the mill
Well,
rate,
that was the
you know.
year that we were saying that without the budget increase, remember we kept saying if we did a flat budget year over year, the mill rate still would have gone up like 1 mil or something because of the reval. So
Well, that was just this last year.
Oh, that was
This-
this
Yeah,
last
this was the 24 budget, so you would have built this in the 23 year, and so it goes up, so when you're dividing a smaller number by a bigger number, the mill rate lowers, cause it went from, I believe it went from like 28 to 25 that year or something, if I'm remembering correctly. So the mill rate goes down usually in
People's
a
tax
revale.
bills still potentially went up.
Yeah, didn't change or went up.
Right, yeah.
So, jumping ahead if we may.
Okay, keep going.
We're gonna keep trucking along here. We'll be home before breakfast, trust me. We okay to jump to the pie charts?
Oh, I went to the projected one. You want the pie charts? Yeah.
Jump to the pie chart.
All right, here you go.
So what Val and I did, what Val did at my request, was to break the 2025 budget down in a pie chart that shows where is our money going. So a big hunk is wages, a big hunk is debt service, transfers to capital, memberships and dues, yeah, a little teeny weeny sliver, right? And the reason for doing that was to get to the next slide, if we can,
As I'm clicking all those buttons.
which is what I was thinking of in terms of a planning horizon. How much of the budget can we change year to year? Going into next budget year, how much can we actually change? 14%. Because we can say things like, no, nobody's going to any conferences, sorry, right?
Yeah, no more memberships, no more dues.
Yeah.
I was thinking
No,
of annual
we're
things.
not paying your dues to the Registrar of Voters Conference or, whatever. But it's kind of small. Then there's like 41% of it in that kind of tan color that we can change over like a 1 to 5 year horizon. Labor contracts. Right? If the negotiators got really mean and nasty, maybe we could affect those. Who knows?
Like copier leases and anything that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bid for a period of time, yeah.
Yeah, where you're locked in for a year or two,
Right.
but you can change it going forward. And then longer term, the biggest chunk of that is debt service and capital stuff. Right, and if you
That's
go back
basically
to
what
the
that's made up
Lindsay
of.
chart, to steer that ship differently takes time. We're already on the hook for a bunch of it. If we wanted our debt service to go down from 2.5 million to 1.5 million,
It would take us more than 5 years.
it would take us a big long time. And it might be cutting your throat.
Right.
So anyways,
Barbie, how does that compare, like, when you talk about it this way, and then
Yes.
you looked at the chart where you had the bars where there was so little money spent on capital in comparison to everything else, like, how does that conflate into this?
So that was looking at the
As
whole
much as we
budget in
could look-
education. This is just the town government. So that's how much of the town government is debt service, transfers to capital, yeah.
Well, but we carry all of that for them, don't we not?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
It's they're living in the building, but we're paying for it.
yeah.
So you're paying for it, so to speak.
You are too.
You haven't looked at, you go talk to Denise Still and see how far my taxes are.
Oh,
under
okay.
Okay, jumping ahead then to going forward. If we may, Val?
Yeah, do you wanna, I think my projection one ended up in the wrong spot. Do you wanna do this one, or which one do you wanna look at?
Well, I was hoping to look at like population going
That was the
forward.
next one, population.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so this is some magic that the state and or Census Bureau does. And
Terrible.
it's kind of showing
Where's
that.
everybody going?
Well, and it goes out in really long increments too, like 5-year increments. I'm like, oh geez, that's, yeah.
But I don't know what crystal ball they use, but they're not thinking that we're gonna grow a whole lot, right? So it's kind of sobering, but yes, Todd, I'm sorry.
It does wakes you up, a little sobering, but I wanna know how other towns similar to East Haddam are doing. Is this the same projection? In other words, how real is this? And how is it are we unique? If we are unique, it's gonna,
I would guess we are not unique. I would guess they don't know anything about our town specifically. They're basing it based on birth rates and, they know how many children were born
Age.
last year, what the age of our current population is. I would guess they're basing it on things like that.
What our
Yeah.
current outflow is and how it's going to
How it's
continue.
changed, what the birth rates are and things like that.
our tax environment.
As I say, this is a work in progress, so we can look at a few
Yeah, no,
similarly sized towns. But anyway,
But the concern would be, this 25 is, it says it's a hair over 9,000. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that, and this has changed slightly from the projection that I saw previously, that by the 30 census, we would be down to close to 8,200. So this is about 200 to 300 higher than that projection was. And I saw that better than a
This is
year
where
ago.
that data comes from.
Right, but it's out of the Census Bureau projections
Yeah, that's
using
exactly
whatever
where this is.
huge data model they use.
Yeah, that's exactly where we got this from. It was the only place we could find it. No one else is willing to put a number on that.
Todd's question is a good one. And all of New England is population shrinking. But town by town, it can be doing all kinds of crazy things. So we try to pick a few similar towns and
Well, if I can, there was I've used this example before where Danbury was bragging that it had the highest education test scores of any town, over 70,000. How about that? How many towns in Connecticut have more than 70,000 people?
Not many.
8. So it's a kind of a narrow thing, but just for the heck of it. According to the most recent number, East Haddam ranks 109th in population in the state of Connecticut. In other words, we're in the bottom half in terms of population. So when you ask that question, the odds are that those of us in the bottom half probably are shrinking at a different level than those at the top half. Just by the nature of urbanization as opposed to ruralization, But and I looked that up. That's the only reason I know it is I went looking for it, because my first question was how many people have more than 70,000. You're like, okay, 8. So if you finish first out of 8, and that includes Waterbury, Bridgeport,
Hartford,
New Haven,
Bridgeport.
Hartford, Stamford, I'm going, the genetic pool just shrunk significantly. But yeah, we're 109th as of the data sheet that I saw in population, which surprised me to put us in the bottom half numerically, but it shows you how skewed Connecticut is. And I think what we would find out is how many towns are in our boat where residential property is the driving economic driver, and that business, commercial, whatever is, or even automobile, is very small comparatively. I think most of Connecticut is in that circumstance.
we will take a stab at finding some comparables. Although how comparable they'll be, I don't. And Colchester, just by way of example, is I think about 15,000 people. And
15.
and they're building, someone is building a 92 apartment complex. So their population is gonna, right? Anyway,
But you could go the other way, cross the bridge. Look what happened to Haddam.
Yeah, they built
between the
those two
building
front-
next to Commonwealth,
Yeah,
and then the one down there,
right around the corner.
right around the corner where the, what is it, Chevrolet place used to be. I don't know how many are in there. Think about the number of apartments that they added in there. And I just happened to be speaking to a resident of that, and almost every one in the, was that River Road? Is the one over
Yeah,
the bridge?
Bridge
Street.
Bridge Street.
Yep.
Almost every one of those is rented. And in the ones next to Commonwealth, I think they're all rented. And then you go up to Portland and look at those buildings they're putting there.
I noticed that on
Yeah, at the
66,
old,
yeah.
Elmcrest.
Elm, the hospital.
Yeah.
Boy, look at this, what, 4 in there, 3 or 4 in there now? Yeah, I mean, it's like, wow. So, I mean, that's what you're facing in terms of population, but, and then you wonder, now, I would have to ask this, and it's a question for the future, is doing planning. What effect does that kind of building outside of East Haddam, on the periphery, but on the main arteries, how would that affect anybody who's thinking about trying to build here? I mean, the buildings in Haddam are on main arteries. I mean, one is just off of 154 off of Saybrook Road. You go to Portland, it's right there on 66. I mean, you know, where's our main arteries?
Well, besides the fact that the land was available, not all that damn much land either.
Right.
Near me on the road to Colchester, you can get on in like that onto Route 2 and go to Hartford, Norwich, New London. Boom. So anyway, moving ahead, if we may.
And I think one of the things, Mike and I have had this conversation, it'd be interesting to know how much of East Haddam's property is available. How much of our property is already spoken for by other things? i.e., obviously places that already have buildings on it. In other words, how much available open land is there in this town? I don't think there's as much as we think.
There's some.
So, oh yes, I don't deny that, but what I'm trying to say is, it isn't as, you look around and there's a whole lot of empty in East Haddam, but it's a whole lot of empty that's controlled by something other than availability.
Yeah, well,
In trust meeting.
Later on, we'll talk.
okay, so jumping ahead, if we may, what Val and I did was to project the grand list growth over the next few years. And correct me again if I misspeak, Val, but figured in there where there's a steep little hump at 2027, that'll be a reval year. So, and then the rest is kind of straight lined on an average growth. Then the next little, well,
Why does this one keep popping up? Oh wait, is that the one we're supposed to
Yep,
have?
that's
Yeah,
next.
that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
okay, so
Yep.
what, in line with the little requirement that I quoted from the budgeting policy, we're supposed to have a 5-year outlook. So this is kind of a stab at what do we need to think about going 5 years into the future. And our current year, 2025, it looks like the rate of actual expense growth is going to be greater than the grand list growth. 2026, we're not there yet, but if we just project kind of the way we're headed, it's going to be the same thing. And then projecting forward where the blue line kind of flattens out, it's based on taking the average growth in actual expenses. So, and what that actual growth is, I'm doing this by memory, like 3.7 to, between 3.7 and 4%. Am I?
Yeah, I think the budget was it was like 4.3 or something, but then the actuals were 3.54 or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
So between 3.5% and 4%.
very close, yeah.
Okay. And that's where the blue line comes from. So, sort of looking forward, my suggestion, argument, claim, whatever it is, would be that we ought to, tying into your suggestion, Ms. Goff, is that we ought to be more forceful going forward. And I'm gonna not say this as politely as I probably should, but we end up in late February, early March with, here's a budget book. And we go through faithfully page by page, trying to find $1,000 here, $1,500,000 there, blah, 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 blah. And we tinker with that 14% in the pie chart. I think we would do a better job for the town if we, as a Board of Finance, were to say, our goal, our directions are, we're not inclined to approve a budget that increases by more than X. Pick your number, 3.5, 3.75, 4%, 29 and a third. I don't, pick a number. But this is what we are inclined to approve. If, there could be an emergency. I mean, who knows? The middle school burns down and we got to do something. I don't know. But all things being equal, this is, and if you want to argue for more, you can argue for it, but realize you're swimming upstream.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can come back to that discussion. But then the stuff in these little, the first one of these that showed we are not doing so good relative to keeping the rate of growth in expenses lower than the rate of growth in the grand list. That's kind of a scorecard on the Board of Finance. There's the ability, that can pop up here, for kind of the raw numbers for a scorecard on, town operations. And if we're collectively interested, Val and I can think about how to group these and put them in some semblance that's a little easier to grasp.
Yeah, this is
The
a
thing
page out
that-
of the audit.
The thing that is missing here, and I'll come to again, is in 2024, we had 12 larcenies. How many resulted in arrests and how many resulted in convictions? I can go around and count all the larcenies, but how good a job did we do at solving them? Right? But that's just, we can talk about that. Then the final, not the final thing, but the other thing, we have the raw materials to develop a sort of a scorecard for town operations. And I would suggest that because the education, the school district accounts for, like 55, 60% of the whole pie, that it would be helpful in understanding what's going on to have sort of some kind of a scorecard on that. Number of students, faculty broken down by administration, certified teaching, non-certified. And I have, and because Bill has given it, Bill Varney's given it to me some guidance on this, there are some things we could ask them for that would be helpful in understanding we're spending a lot of money on this. Tell me what's going on where the rubber meets the road. So we'd have a scorecard for the Board of Finance, a scorecard for town operations, and a scorecard for the Board of Education going forward. So,
That's excellent, Harvey, absolutely excellent. And maybe it's a little early for me to say this, but this is all going in a direction I think is good. I'm thinking now, when we meet to set the budget for the new fiscal year, are there any ground rules we want to use? Knowing how important some of these metrics are, can we use them to help us set the tone for the new budget? And something we can use as guideposts. It's awful hard sailing a boat in the dark night in the fog. That's pure luck you're going to make it out of the channel out to sea. So we want something that is going to guide us, so we know we're going to be where we want to be in June. So I'm thinking about some ground rules, and I'm thinking also go one step further. It's not just a matter also of money being spent. It's a matter of what that money's doing for us. Are we getting our money's worth?
if I may, Todd, that's kind of why I'm making this suggestion that there are two elements of the thing that I just presented that really aren't there that we might talk about.
Right.
Kind of a, what have you done for me lately in town operations and how's it succeeding?
Yep.
And what are you doing for me
Yep.
in the school system and how's it working?
So we do have somewhat of a framework if you look in the budget book on each page of each department, they do put in
That's where this
There.
comes from.
goals no, I'm talking about their goals.
Oh, right, but like
and
statistics stick in here, yeah, yep.
Which next year.
The
So
narrative, yeah.
you do have some framework or some metrics that
Yes.
each department will say, this is what their plan is and this is what they've done. So I'm just gonna suggest, if you want, to take a look at those pages and look at those narratives and see in there if those metrics meet what you might look for in the way of using it for a scorecard.
Yeah, there's a lot of data in there too, yeah.
You know.
I'm just planting the seed.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that might be one place where you could go and say, that's a good number to keep in mind for the scorecard, whatever that might be, whether it's on the police budget or the fire budget or public works, whatever it is, but those might be ones that you could use as part of your scorecard.
Like I say, it's a work in progress. We've got to get there. We're going to try to get there.
You will get there, I know it.
But go ahead, Bill.
I was just gonna say, I can't agree with you, couldn't agree with you more. I do believe that the Board of Finance is that agency that exists between the Board of Ed, the Board of Selectmen, and the voters. Our job is to find that sweet spot for dollars. But I do believe you're right. We need to give guardrails early on before budgets are developed
Right.
to both the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen and say to them, we've looked at growth in the grand list. And we feel we can absorb a budget of 4%. I'm picking a number like you are, I'm just spitballing. And basically what you just said, you come in with more than 4%, you better have the Pope's imprimatur or the Archbishop of Canterbury. But you need somebody's imprimatur on that damn thing before we're gonna talk to you. And it's dual, you keep, I don't know how to say this, but again, since I generally have seen as somebody who has impolite ways of saying things, you can do it. You can, the superintendent and the Board of Education, you say 4%, can do it. They can. The town, the selectmen, you say 4%, can. It's not impossible. But as we all know, the trouble is too often we are dealing with people who tell us all of their wants. And my attitude is I don't want to hear your wants. I want to deal with your needs. What do you need? Show me. And I think your question about getting statistical information like that is incredible because it tells us how you are meeting needs. I looked at that and I have to be candid with you. I looked at that category and said, 1 burglary? 12 larcenies? Yeah, I know we have a small police department, but still, how do you do with those? You know, you look down and the biggest category is assisting citizens. And that obviously, I'm assuming, is a non-criminal activity. You look
Calls
at...
for service.
Yeah, call for service, exactly. Lord knows, my cat, I don't know.
Cat's in a tree.
Cat's in a tree. But that's what I think, and I do agree with you, Irene, that I did appreciate reading in the budget how every department put forward a list of what they've done and then what they're planning to do. I think that's what we need to hear from people. But within the numbers. Because I know I'm not naive. I may be old, but I'm not naive. You can do it. I know, let me put it this way, I will say it this way, absolute certainty that it can be done. I know it. But we just have to say to people, as Nike likes to say, just do it.
Well, I think, keying off of what Bill said, we need to give both the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen the guardrails. In the future, we've waited for them to go through their months of planning when they have, kind of taken ownership of this budget that they now feel is the budget they need before we've given them kind of, again, these guardrails, so to speak, to stay within. So I think, that's something that we should have done in the past, and I think we need to start doing that, and I think that'll help them as they're coming up with their numbers, looking to see, where they can cut and where they can shift their expenses. But I agree, I think it can be done, and it has to be done, because we can't stay above the number and just continuously increase the taxes, so.
You've heard it, I've heard it. Joe, you said the same thing. The kind of increases over the last few years are unsustainable. I don't care how the property values break out. You can't keep going 7%, 8%. You're doubling your taxes every 10 years.
Yeah.
That is impossible. Almost in any town, maybe Greenwich, but that's.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Harvey, for all your hard work on this.
Insight.
I'm more than happy to accept thanks, but,
Valerie.
yes, but, could not have been done, and certainly could not have been done this well without Valerie.
Thank you.
I'd like to move that we take 2 gold stars from inventory, give it to Val,
Thanks.
and 1 gold star from inventory, give it to Harvey.
So moved.
If you would be willing to amend your motion, Mr. Barney, I'm happy that Val gets gold stars, but I'd like the big drink.
I gotta tell you this, I go into my PT and they have I'm up at River Rock, and on the window it says, "We treat everything." So I said to my therapist, so you taking me out for lunch tomorrow? And she looked at me, I said, you treat everything. Lunch is in that, isn't it? I understand,
That's
So-
great.
and I'll buy it.
I don't wanna drag this out any longer. My idea is that we have all this stuff now. And I've written down some suggestions that y'all have made. And next year, at this time, we drop off the 17th century and add new, refresh it, see where we're at and how we're doing. And we should keep it moving ahead, not just, oh, good,
Yeah.
fine. Because it may tell a different story as we move forward. The second is, along with the idea that I think there's some consensus, I think I'm hearing, about setting a budget target for the 26-27 fiscal year. To lead up to that, to aspirationally get some buy-in, that when we come to the tri-board meeting thing, that the Board of Finance's segment of that should focus on not necessarily all of this, but the most important elements of this that would sort of substantiate why this is the budget target we're setting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would like the tri-board to start that activity as soon as possible in November and December. So these are the leadership boards of the town, Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Board of Education. And so we come to an agreement on what our target is for the total budget. And at the tri-board, we present that to the town.
With this kind of stuff as the
Yes.
rationale.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's not something picked out of the air, something we can afford and still get work done, get good work done. And then that would completely change the exercise between January and May that we've been living through in the past. And that way, there'd be no surprises, there'd be full expectation, and you're probably gonna get people involved a lot sooner, interested people a lot sooner about the process. And we will reach a true united front on a budget that we all can agree to the first time through and live with. And I like that too, that it looks like it's gonna be performance-based as well. When we ask the question, are we getting our money's worth? And we're gonna eventually, maybe not all this year, but certainly by next year, we do it again, we'll have a good database to work from. So I'd like to do that right away. Next month, start next month, is what I'd like to see. Because the tri-board meeting is coming in January, so already we have a deadline.
And I think the other thing you'll find is if you put out guidelines, you put for budgets, as the various boards and commissions develop their budget, you may find a bigger citizen buy-in. Because
Absolutely.
now suddenly, it isn't this huge thing, but now we've got to focus narrowly. And I would assume any good organization would invite in its constituency and say, hey, we've got to keep within X amount of dollars. Talk to us about what we need to do. And I think you'd find citizens, I think, won't be willing to come forward at that point because now they know, the citizens know what the target is. It isn't some amorphous thing, some cloud, some fog out there, but it's a real number. And it's a reality, not a possibility.
It should be self-energizing.
Yep.
That's right, that's the other good aspect. Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
This is great stuff. My golly, you're right, we should have done this a long time ago. But better late than never, right? So we got our chance right now, just around the corner. Look forward to it. Okay, what else do we have on the agenda? I'm getting so excited here, I'm forgetting myself. Okay.
The first selectman?
First selectmen's report.
Down the screen.
Good evening.
Great job. Get darker in here. There we go. Okay, so the latest and greatest is that the swing bridge weight restriction is now removed. So we are
Fantastic.
fully open for business, open for any trucks that wanna come across. Our first responders, full of tanks, waters, and everything else can go across, and it's all done. The signs were actually removed the end of last week by DOT, so we're all good there. So we've put it out there since last weekend, but you know, if anybody doesn't know, please by all means share that information because they're all looking forward to it, you know, having that done. And I know there was quite a few businesses that you know, have been, you know, going around the long way and waiting for that restriction to be removed. So it's finally been removed and we're all good and everything's good. I believe the rotaries are pretty much paved, so we're there as well on the other side of the river. So maybe we have nothing more to complain about. We'll see. DEP gave Lake Hayward their permit to fix the dam. So there's all kinds of dam conversations going on these days, and you will hear from them shortly, because they're gonna be looking at doing some creative funding for that dam repair. Today was our first day of early voting. We had 30 voters come in today. So tell people, we've got early voting going on, 10 to 6. And this weekend and next weekend, people can come in and vote. So, and there's 2 nights where it's gonna be open late, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
28th and the 30th.
Thank you,
Tuesday and
28th and
Thursday.
Thursday, Tuesday and Thursday of next week. So
It opens earlier and it closes earlier.
you have opportunity, plenty of opportunity. Don't forget to come and vote. I thought I'd give you some updates on our bonding that we passed a couple of months ago. Has it been that long? Roads, in regard to roads, we've done a lot of roads all of a sudden. We did fairly a good amount of roads already this year, this summer. And one of the things that I wanted to let you know about is Sheepskin Hollow Bridge is repaired. It was gonna cost us $2 million, it ended up costing us $200,000 to put a sleeve inside the pipe, and therefore, it's done. It's a temporary fix, but it's temporary meaning like 25 years or 30 years down the road. So we're well in good shape as far as that bridge goes. So our engineers and various engineers came in and said that that was a repair that we could make, and we ended up saving the town about $1.8 million on that project. We've also done the paving on either side of it, so we're all good there. We've also paved, let's see, Jones Hill. We did some shim overlay up there. We're looking at Smith, Alger, and Daniels being done right now. Just FYI on Daniels is we're doing both sides of Daniels, but not the middle where the water is. There's a bigger study, bigger project there that we need to address. And quite honestly, working with Resilient Connecticut, one of the things that we really should be doing is we should be raising that bridge, raising that culvert in that waterway, because that ultimately could become retention area for the future waters that we are going to get. So we need to think about that. But in the meantime, the road itself is very bad, so we're getting that repaved, and that should be done this month as well. And then we're hoping that we can sneak in before they close the asphalt plant and get Cove Road done as well, and that's a reclamation and pave as well. So we've got a lot of roads next year, next spring, within this fiscal year. We'll also do Maple Ave and Great Hillwood. So those are the roads that we've gotten done this year, and that's about 8.5 miles. And thank you to the bonding and all the state money and federal money that we've got for roads, and we're getting the roads done. So most of them have been reclamation and paving, because we obviously know through our study that that's the worst of it. But we will slowly see that adjust, whereas we're just maintaining and then eventually, you know, just taking good care of our roads that we've all,
redone. So that's the roads. So the bonding for the roads, that's in full swing, full works. The other two projects that we approved the bonding for, one was the bridges, which is AP Gates and BB. Those are gonna take some time right now. What we're working on this winter is all the easements that we need to get in order to actually go forward with that program. The other thing we have to do is remember, we have to actually pay for those projects to get them done, and then we will get reimbursed 50%. We are looking at potentially bidding it out probably by January. So just keep that in you. So that's maybe we might be doing some construction next year, but that's not something that's, it doesn't go quick because it's all state bid and everything. And then finally, the fire trucks right now are, well into 2-3 years down the road because it's gonna take that long to see a new fire truck. But at least they can move forward on a truck committee and then put together an RFP and then get the bids in and all that. So you won't see anything on fire trucks and purchases of fire trucks until well into next year. But just so you know that obviously all of that and all of the, pre-work that has to be done on both those and the bridges, it took, making sure that it was okay that we did it in the first place. And that's where we really did with the bonding. So as much as people are, oh my God, we're gonna spend all kinds of money, we're not doing it anytime quick and anytime soon. But at least the roads are headed in the right direction. And the bridges and the fire trucks will come. Yeah,
Right direction.
They're going in the right direction. Just an FYI on the firehouse, we had a meeting yesterday and we talked about a lot of finishes and things like that within the firehouse. And the design work is pretty much done. So now we're able to actually get a bid written. And then once we get a bid written, then we can actually put the RFP out. And then we can get, some construction bids in and open up a bid. So hopefully maybe we'll have something by January of that. And we just have to keep hoping and praying that the firehouse doesn't fall down on our trucks between now and next year, because it's not gonna be until next year that thing gets even thought about starting. But that's the update on the firehouse. And then the last thing is I just wanted to update you guys on speed cameras. I'm hoping that before I go, in less than a month, we'll be moving on the speed camera ordinance. So the speed cameras we've looked into a number of different times. There's more and more communities that are looking at these automated speed things. They're bringing in, they're changing behavior and bringing in income. And they've now changed their contract, and we're having the newest contracts being reviewed by our lawyers. But the newest contract is literally, there is absolutely no outlay ahead of getting the cameras. We can get cameras on at least 3 roads at a time, and they'll bring those cameras in and we'll get those put up in place. We don't pay anything for the cameras at all, and we're paying by the ticket. And if the ticket is not paid for, then we don't pay the fee. And so it's literally, we are held harmless of any kind of, contract problems with it at all. So it's looking really good. And the next step is we have to determine, what the over the speed limit is going to be, whether it's going to be 10 or 12 or 13 or 15 miles over the speed limit, what that's going to look like. And then we have to go to a town meeting on the ordinance to pass the ordinance first. And then we go to DOT. So, the cameras are going to take a bit to get here, but we're just about there. And we've almost got the point where the Board of Selectmen will approve to move forward. So we're just about there on that. That's all I got for tonight.
Thank you, Irene. Any questions for Irene?
I just, real quick,
Sure.
make sure we get out, your office gets out, the information on roads. I think that, I hear that.
Yeah.
I don't, boy, will that satisfy so many people to hear that it's being done and this is what we're gonna be done. And as far as the speed cameras are concerned, put on every damn road, because I'm a walker, and I'm gonna tell you, it is incredible. We were standing last Saturday, people coming down 149 in front of the dump. We swear some of those people hit 60. We swear they did.
It's crazy.
It's just insane that people drive. Yeah. And there are people there. I don't give a darn.
We had a gentleman in one of our Board of Selectmen meetings who was there to talk about sustainability stuff, but he also lives on Main Street, and Main Street's been pushing us to get get the speed devices up there. And we finally were able to do it, but the problem is that you're arguing with the DOT because it's a state road. So that's part of our problem, is that a lot of these are state roads, but now with this automated speed stuff and the fact that they're partnering with the towns, it's easier. But it took us a while to finally get approval to just put a speed thing up there. And so we did, and he came in and he thanked us because it made a world of difference, just so that people, because I don't think people pay attention, right? They don't really pay attention. They don't realize how fast they're really going. And the cameras help. And whether it's a camera that's gonna give them a speed ticket, or it's just a camera that indicates their speed, I think it definitely does help, and I think it does change behavior. And that's what we want, is we want it a little safer around here. Especially because we don't have a whole lot of sidewalks. You know, and we do definitely have a lot of state roads. So it's good that DOT is partnering with us and able to do this, yeah.
Another giant step forward.
Fine.
Succeeding. Not just trying, succeeding.
It's good, really good.
All right, I'm just
Any other questions for me? Thank you very much for the good news, especially back to the original weight for the bridge. My guy cuts
You
my
don't
trees.
know how-
Yeah,
I know.
the Walworth Bridge, you come up.
Well, you can tell them, straight over the bridge now. Yeah.
Everybody knows already.
I'm sure he does.
He signed up for the updates probably.
Are you kidding? That went out like wildfire.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is Finance Director's report.
Yes, so we have year-to-date financials for our new fiscal year. I will say that our June financials are still forthcoming. We do have a business manager, and I wanted to give her plenty of time to catch up, and we still have some reconciliations going on to prepare for the audit. So more to come on June. This is July and August together. Kind of quiet in the beginning of the year. You'll notice, you know, the budgeted actuals are a little bit higher in July than we'd like to for the month, but it was because I had made those interfund transfers in July, so we kind of fronted those and got those over with instead of doing them in June.
Okay.
So we can recognize that expense because we know it's gonna happen. It's budgeted transfers.
Okay.
So it looks a little higher right now, but then you can kind of see in the summary by August, it's right at 17% and 17%, so we're kind of spot on again. Any questions?
Yes, but our budget for debt service is now $3 million a year. Was 2.5 for a long time.
Yeah, so that's including the new debt service paid. The 2.5 is like our target, but this includes the newest payment that just came on. You'll see to offset that is the transfer that comes in from the revenue side helps offset that. That increases as well as we retire debt.
Okay. I like retiring debt, good idea.
Yeah, retiring anything sounds good.
No, we said we weren't gonna save all the like, just,
Some of us know about retirement.
we had talked about not saving all the transfer entries to the end of the year.
Right, so I did them and you see them in July. And this, the summary page is like, that's what I'm looking at, is the summary page. So you see interfund transfers for expenses, there's 4,023,023.
Thing in there.
Yeah, because it's transfers to capital, transfers to reserves, it's all budgeted
Okay.
items that will really never change, because
Okay, I
That's what we
figured you'd do
budgeted.
it like quarterly or something. but
no, I'll
okay.
just do the entry all in one.
Okay.
It used to be a part of
So
the
that's
year-end
the reason why we
close.
look-
It used to be a part of the year-end close or but to hold in my mind, to hold the $4 million is not giving you a true idea of what
Right,
your expenses, throughout the year as
Right.
they narrow down.
so, but now it's gonna skew it the other way as we try to analyze for the whole year.
So just for 1 month, because you see by August, we're 17% and 17%, we're
Right.
kind of caught up.
Well, but something else must be skewed, because interfund transfers is 100%. So that means other ones are less, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's only second month of the
Right.
year, yeah. But
the transfers that happen that are guaranteed.
Yeah.
They don't
But
really
again, we
vary,
must be
you know?
lower than 17 if we've already put the whole.
We would have, right, exactly.
So-
If you took the 4 million out.
If
and-
we made the
yeah.
4 million just be like 2 months worth of 4 million, we'd be lower, because clearly everybody else must be lower.
But they're annual transfers, so I do them all in one entry. I don't do them monthly. Any questions?
No, and you just,
I may
I
not know off
look
the
at,
top of my head.
on your
but-
sheets.
Yeah,
And I look at the, what do you call it? The actuals from last year compared to this year. And like Marie just talked about how you put all of the transfers in there. The only thing, and everything else kind of sort of matches up. And why is there such a discrepancy in fringe benefits paid out in this first?
Are you looking at August? Let me make sure I'm looking at the same, July or August?
If you look at the bottom,
Yep,
now, you can do it either way. You can look at the energized. It says same last year, the budget's
second
about the
column.
same, but the bottom says only $10,000, and last year was $340,000.
We've got the prior year actual same period.
I'm just looking at actual.
yeah, that could have been the data when the check was cut, right? Like maybe,
I don't
that's
know,
strange.
it just struck me as
Yeah,
odd that
that's
it was,
weird.
The whole
it's like,
column looks odd, quite frankly.
you know,
That's
I mean,
strange. I'll
I
look in,
understand
maybe there
putting-
is an error in like
Yeah.
a formula
The
or
whole
like a,
column
where
looks
it's
wrong.
grabbing the data from, so I'll look at that.
okay,
That's a
it just
good-
struck me as, I understand the money being transferred, the 4 million, that's
The
fine.
revenues, it all
It
looks low.
balances, but I'm looking at
Yeah,
10
and,
versus 340,
right, I
something
mean, it
wrong.
is quiet, but not that quiet,
Okay,
right, you know? Let me
okay,
check that.
thank you.
Well,
column.
even revenues down below, through August of last year, we'd only collected $1,700.
Yeah,
Right.
that wasn't,
yeah.
yeah, because we had the
Yeah.
budget, yeah, that must be off. It's probably pulling from a different.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
but
right.
thank you, let me check that.
Yeah,
That's
when
the
you look on the
prior
next
year.
2 pages, on the detail pages, the total comes to 5.7 million. It's
Right.
not-
Yeah, so it's not pulling from the
It's
right, okay,
something.
all right, on the summary page, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, I'll correct those before we get them online too.
I have a question under year-to-date expenditures for July 31st, 2025. It's the table with all the.
Sure.
This is a small number, I must confess, but I find it kind of odd. Millington School, about halfway down the page, Millington Schoolhouse. The unaudited actuals for last year were $653. We budgeted.
It could have been a repair that we had to do.
I think we had to do some repairs.
We
on
had to
some
do some
towers.
repair, yeah,
Right,
in that building.
yeah.
And it could have been, we did the repair in July over the summer, you know? I could ask, Linda's really good about knowing that stuff, but that's really all we do in there is utilities and repairs. That's a-
Good paint.
Yeah, if we have to paint it or keep the bill, yeah, right.
I remember.
I think last year we had to paint the floor.
Yeah, there was
Oh,
something
I
like that.
think this year there was some clappers on the outside that needed to be worked on and maybe some steps.
I remember Don talking about that, that's all.
Yeah, it's not a very complex budget. It's either electricity or repairs, and it's probably
Exterior
repairs.
painting and clapboard repair is required.
There you
That's
go.
where it is.
Yeah.
Electricity
That was probably
increase.
the beginning of it. Yep. With
It'll be
electricity.
done next spring. Hold it.
No, so it had already
Already
happened
done.
in the 25 budget last year. It happened. It probably started in July.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep. See, numbers always tell you the story somehow.
I just remember reading it, that's the only thing,
Yeah,
or hearing
right.
it, one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
And obviously, good for them both.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anything that stands out?
Mhm.
If you find anything, just email us
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get right to it. But thank you very much, Valerie.
Sure. Audit update?
Yes, please.
Auditors are slated to be here in the building for 2 weeks of Thanksgiving and the first week of December. We've had a preliminary meeting with our new business manager, which is great. So that's our target. If anything changes, I will let you know. But I am trying to be fluid and flexible, knowing that we have a brand new staff member who just got here. So I'm trying not to hold her feet to the fire yet. But we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. I think that part of the staffing transitions, as you guys probably remember with the 2023 audit, always delay things. So I'm going to be optimistic and not let that worry us.
Very good. Okay, so anything else on audits? Guess not. Then the budget calendar.
Yeah, well, we don't really yet, but I wanted to talk about it because I knew the tri-board discussion was going to happen, and we've been talking a lot about starting the budget season as early as possible. So knowing we're not going to have the same crew here in November as we are in December, I think it would be best for us to target our tri-board meeting for our January regular date, which I think is January 12th. So if we can kind of select that date, I can start getting communications out to, yes, it's January 12th. Just to start conversations that tri-board's going to be that date and everybody can get prepared for that. I know we're very anxious to start as soon as possible. But some of these boards won't even have a chairperson in December. So we need to at least do our regular business in December. You know, I think every board might be affected by that. You know, Board of Selectmen, Board of Ed, and Board of Finance. So regular business, I think, should probably introductions, regular business in December, and kick off the budget season in January. And that will get us back on track because we won't be so late in the month of January. Well, at least be back on track to our January regular.
I'm not so sure. We need to come to, the leadership boards need to come to an agreement on what the target's going to be for the budget. It's got to be a serious target, not a wishy-washy one.
So I think that the Board of Finance can work towards that, but we're going to really need to be delicate with it. You're going to have a completely different people sitting here in November than we are December. So we can certainly work through that, potentially to present that in January, right, at the tri-board and have the guidance ready. But a lot of changes are happening.
So when do you expect?
Well, I'm just gonna say this, on this board, at least 4 of the 6 members will be the same. They're not gonna change. Harvey, Eric, Joe, and whether it's myself.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, but that's
The two Democrats, if the 2 Democrats and Deb get in, it'll be 3 new members and 3 old members.
But there's 3 of the same. All I'm trying to say is budgets start to get developed. And they generally start to be developed before January. Whether it's at the town budget or the Board of Ed budget, they're already putting out material. I think the sooner.
the town doesn't, we typically wait till after, town will wait, but the Board of Ed will start, they have to because they have to get theirs done by February.
And so the sooner, and I agree with Todd, the sooner you
I agree, I
set
just have,
that tri-board meeting, if not in
Yeah.
November 18th is a Monday. I assume that will be it's the start of the new terms. So everybody who was elected will be sworn in that day.
Tuesday.
I mean, I think the only thing we could do if
I don't know if we would have our target date for that, I mean, we won't have a
we
grand list.
would have to
won't
have, we would have to let the boards have their December meeting. Because if we try to do this at like our December meeting, we won't even have a chairperson.
Tuesday.
Board of
Pardon?
Ed won't have a chairperson.
It's just a lot of shakeup.
But what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to do it at a regular meeting.
Right,
You
that's what I
could
was
set a
saying.
meeting somewhere in mid-December.
Yeah.
After the Board of Finance, the
We should
Board of
probably
Selectmen
talk about that
the
sooner
Board
than
of
later,
Ed
knowing schedules and.
has
That's why I'm raising the issue.
Yeah,
had a chance to organize. I mean, they gotta get organized by, they have to do it. You can't just, whatever, if it's the 17th, I don't care what the day is. But I'm assuming,
Well, December 8th, you'll have your Board of Finance meeting. The 3rd, assumably the selectmen will have their meeting. Not sure what day, the Board of Ed meets Tuesdays?
I don't know, actually.
So they'll have had a meeting the first or second week. I
Right.
wanna say it's the first week in, or second week in December. So by the 3rd week in December, you could have a special meeting if you wanted to.
And that, I
say-
guess that's what I'm saying, would be
Yeah.
to do that, to set that up,
I
because
would-
that will have been almost over a month for them to get their new
Merry
people in order
Christmas
and to get it going.
We will not have a grand list number on that date.
Do we have one that's close?
I do not believe so.
I
She
feel
has
I-
no statutorily guidelines to have it ready by that date. And with a new employee again, I can ask her. I told Harvey, I said, we can
I just
ask,
talked to
but
somebody, I forget who, and they said, we have the number, but then there are adjustments to the number.
I'm not her. I don't
Yeah.
wanna claim to,
Yeah.
but I'm to know that she's a brand new employee. And if we wanna revamp the whole schedule, we're affecting a lot of people.
But for the purposes of having a tri-board meeting, why wouldn't a reasonably good estimate? of
Right,
that-
right.
We don't have
And
to
I'll
have
see
them.
what she has, and I mentioned that.
You
I
don't
just
have to have.
Understanding that there could be further adjustments, but
Yeah.
at least if we've got a ballpark.
Yeah,
It's
I
not gonna
hope.
settle in one night anyway. It's gonna be a series of meetings, a few meetings anyway, I would think. Before, because this is a real number. This is not something we're just talking about.
Well, that's my concern, is we won't have a real number,
Well,
you
no,
know?
but
One of the
it's
numbers
also-
Yeah,
won't
but
be
we can come up
real.
with a percentage based on a draft number. We can, if we can be, you know, we're not tying down to dollars and pennies, we're coming up with a
Percentage.
percentage.
You are right.
I'm sorry if you guys were talking while I was looking at my calendar. When does the Board of Ed do their budget? The third?
Their
Tuesday?
meetings,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can look it up. Let me see if I can.
If they do theirs after ours, then we're coming up to Christmas week. So I don't know when they.
I think they're in the first or second week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
They're the second Wednesday of
Okay.
every month at 7 PM.
So they'll be meeting on the 10th.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to have a meeting the following week, 15, 16.
I think we should plan on that.
There you go.
Yeah, we should start planning, especially because, like I keep saying, December schedules, we should plan on that soon.
You just have to check and see what boards and commissions meet the 3rd week. The RA meets on the 18th, if they meet then. Redevelopment Agency. I know they meet the 3rd Thursday.
So we'll have to,
I don't think EDC,
The
EDC,
second Thursday, I have them on my calendar, meeting the second.
the 2nd? Well, I'm sure we can check with Linda and you guys can figure it
yeah,
out.
we'll have to look. So is it the week of the 15th to the 19th? Any of that
Yeah.
week?
That'd be the
Chance.
next week. The next week is Christmas week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like, and yeah.
You gotta at least
it's
meet
getting-
that week to get things started.
Right. Yep.
Otherwise, we're gonna lose a whole month.
Right.
So
January will be gone. before-
would that be the tri-board
No.
or, okay,
that'd
it's a
just be the
planning
first
meeting?
Of what I call a consensus meeting,
To
to get,
I'm sorry, Ty. Yeah.
to get to a point where we can go to the tri-board.
Okay, may I interrupt?
Sure.
What would we have a consensus about? And who would be the participants in the consensus?
Participants would be all three leadership boards, or representatives of those boards, in my mind, to reach an agreement, consensus, if you will. It could be a formal vote, depending on how they feel, of what our budget target's gonna be in the new fiscal year.
May I disagree with you?
Of course.
Okay. I believe it's the responsibility of the Board of Finance
Yes.
to set that target number. That if we try to reach a consensus among everybody, it'll be like
We're doing our due diligence on this
Lewinsky
analysis.
sitting down.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
mean,
But you will have some, I imagine you will have some discussion with the Board of Selectmen and Board of Education as to why you think that needs to be the target.
I think we would explain to them why that is the target.
Yeah, well, why you think that needs to be the target? Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we're like, to Harvey's point, I assume at our December 8th meeting, we will come up with the target
based on our analysis and the numbers and the things that we've gone over. And then at the meeting with the other two boards, we will tell them what our target is and
And
why, and then,
Is that the tri-board that kicks off budget season? Is that what, like, I'm just,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's what's so important about it.
Well, the
Well-
tri-board meeting is when we come back to the Board of Finance and present what our thoughts are on the budget as we go forward. And as we start pulling together our budget, these are the trials, the tribulations of what we're gonna.
Right, it
But-
kicks off the budget season. So are we gonna bring
Well,
that
I
to
think the
December or
problem
to
is I feel like the
January?
Board of Ed starts before the tri-board meeting, and I don't know.
They have to, because they're
Right,
obligated to
so,
get it to
right,
us
so
by
the
a certain
problem
date.
therein
Yeah.
is that by the time we meet with them in January, they have already been doing their budget for a month.
So do
They're-
we wanna
they're
move the
into it.
tri-board to December? Is that what this, like, the 15th to the 19th would be, and we would meet before that?
Could I make a crazy suggestion? At our November meeting, suppose the Board of Finance sat around and talked about it and looked in the crystal ball and said, our target is 3.86.222. And don't wait around for a tri-board meeting.
Yeah.
Put together a memo from the Board of Finance to the superintendent and the Board of Education, to the first select person and Board of Selectmen, and say, this is the budget target that we have established for the upcoming fiscal year, based on making things sustainable, blah, 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 blah. And at whatever, the tri-board meeting, we can go through the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
soup and
That's-
nuts
that's
holy
a-
show to
That's a good idea.
explain how we got there. And they'll pull their hair out and moan and groan, but
That's good, but
at least we gave them a heads up before they started spinning their wheels.
it's very important for the participants to understand the justification of the target. You guys, okay, set the target, that's fine. Somebody's gotta do it anyway. So just be clear, because everybody has to be on board and believe in it and do it. It's not just a summer laid down to make people hurt. It's a real reason, and it has to be explained to them. You can send it out in a memo ahead of time, sure, but I think you're gonna have to be able to explain it to them.
I mean, does
I
anything,
understand that, and let me rethink what I'm thinking. You're right.
If I can. Did we run some hearings last year on the budget?
Public hearings, you mean?
Yeah, did we do that?
How could you forget, Bill?
No.
what's your point?
There's a point to what I'm saying. Did we do that?
Yeah, we did.
Who made the final decision on what was gonna go to the voters?
Board of Finance, we voted on it in public.
Was that us?
Yep.
Okay, same thing that Harvey's talking about. We are the ones, not the Board of Selectmen, not the Board of Education. We are the ones who ultimately have to go turn around and look at the constituents and say to them, this is what we're recommending. And so to say to them and to have them pulling out their hair, I have an issue with that. Because their job is to work within the parameters. Do we just say, make any budget up you want? Why don't we do it the other way? Let's get rid of it. No barrier. Put anything in your budget you want. How would we feel about that? We're gonna have to deal with it. To set up front, which Harvey is saying, and I think Maureen is saying, to say up front to them, here's the number. I am saying, having Irene's done municipal budgets, I've done municipal budgets. Don't tell me you can't do it, because you can. Because you can. Because let's face it, after the voters decide, you're gonna have to do it anyhow, whether you like it or not. And I think he's absolutely right. We are not out to persuade them. Our job as a Board of Finance is to deal with the financial situation of this community and to say to people, we've looked at it, we've looked historically. The grand list goes up roughly $50 million a year on average, and that will produce X amount of tax dollars. In addition to that, a tax mill increase of no more than 3.89722%, a total of X. don't come back with more than that. Unless, like I said, you've got an imprimatur from the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury, and maybe the chief rabbi. I don't care. But you know, somebody, and it's always, let's face it, it's always this board. Somebody's got to make a final stand before the voters, and it's this board.
Could I? Were we to establish what the parameter is in November, what we could have, you call it whatever you want, but we could invite the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, right, in late November to a special with donuts and coffee to, here's what the parameters are and here's the reason for them. They don't have to make any presentation. They don't have to be prepared to explain what trials and tribulations they're facing. It's just, here's your marching orders kind of meeting. Does that help anybody at all? I don't know if it's a good idea or bad idea, but
at some point, you're talking not only dollars here, you're also talking things that need to get done for the town government to work and for education to work. And people are got a vested interest in that. The people not only doing the job, but also the parents, for example, and the citizens of the town. So eventually, it's going to have to be a public meeting to explain to the citizens how you came to the number, as we did at the public hearing, 2 public hearings last spring, but hopefully in a better manner and more reasonable, that people can understand what we're doing ahead of time. So I think it's real important. Yeah, the Board of Finance has a function, and you guys want to exercise that function. That's great. That's what we should be doing. But at the same time, you have to explain to the participants that you just didn't pull this number out of the air.
that's why I'm making this suggestion.
That's exactly right, Harvey. So that's real important to do that,
Right.
and not appear to be dictatorial.
Right, but I guess I'm trying to think through is, if we had the number tonight, we could invite them to a meeting tomorrow,
Yes, that's correct.
right? We just need a room big enough.
That's correct. Sooner the better. Yeah, because
You know, from putting together a budget, I mean, I can speak to this side of it for the people that are gonna be pulling their hair out. I do think that, I mean, as many of us in this room have been parents, when you set the parameters for the children do much better. Plain and simple. And I think Bill is right in that, yes, if you told me that I can only do a 3.5% increase next year in my budget, I could come to you with a 3.5% increase in my budget. If you told me it would be 2.8, I could do that too. If you told me it was 4.1, I could do that too. The only stipulation that I will say is that there are contractual obligations, mostly due to wages, that union contracts, because we have unbelievable amount of unions in this town. But those are things that, you know, unfortunately, we can't do anything about. Or if we had it and you wanted 2.4, then there would be a lot of things that would have to be cut in order to come to a 2.4%.
Or you come with,
budget.
like Harvey spoke, there are things we can change this year, and there are things we can change in the next 1 to 5 years. So maybe the explanation is, if you can't,
Multi-year.
you're right, if you better have a letter from the Pope and a plan to bring it down in the next year or 2 or something, like we're saying, like, I don't think we're completely devoid of listening to explanations, but everything can't be an exception. Right, the budget
Yeah, no,
has to be
but
within the bounds.
I think
and-
you're right. I think you can do it. You definitely can do it. And I think, you know, if again, to what Todd was saying, if you're going into budget season with an expectation and the people are aware of the expectation, then everybody is
believe
on
in it.
board. Yeah, and then everybody's on board. And then when it comes to the actual passing of the budget, it's done. And we can move forward. I mean, we're paving way later than we should be. And we're hoping we can get one more done before, you know, November and the things close down. So But that's because we had to wait till June before we had a budget pass. So, I think if you set the expectation ahead of time, all the children in the room know, and the children out there know, and, we're all doing the fiscal responsible thing that we need to do. And I think it needs to come from the Board of Finance. It's your job.
Or if you don't mind, Todd, the previous town I worked in, it was a routine every year for the Board of Finance to send a guidance memo to the Board of Selectmen, to the Board of Ed. We can't plan our budget till we get the guidance memo. And it was a memo that went out to say, and it was informational too about contractual obligations and things like that, but it set the tone and the expectations and what we could do for the year. And it was the Board of Finance meeting, planning, and sending out a memo. And then you have the whole budget season to explain and hear the back and forth and put input and, and vice versa.
That's right, you're absolutely right, and that's the thing to do once you get up and going and cruise.
Yeah.
And right now, we're changing there's a sea change here, what we're doing. So people aren't used to getting the guidance memo from the.
Yeah,
board.
not only in
At
the
the same
process.
time,
but
it'll
we
be-
gotta-
it'll be a new-
Introduce it to them.
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a new selectman.
It'll be a
for
good time
selectmen.
to
It'll
do
be a
something
new
new,
board
have a
of
new-
ed chair. So
Maybe you could share,
If
if you could get a copy of that guidance letter that you guys did, just so that
Yeah.
they can see it.
see the format, see the type of information that was in it.
Yeah,
And I can tell you, having been through it in another place, that is exactly what the chairman of the Board of Finance and the Board of Finance in the town of Clinton did for my years there. They gave the Board of Ed, they gave the Board of Selectmen, and now it's a
Yeah.
town manager. They gave them that guidance.
Yeah.
And it
I
wasn't,
wonder if
it wasn't advisory,
Yes,
it was, this is
I
what
mean, it's
we are
still
looking
not
for.
saying that it'll definitely pass, but at
Right.
least it says
right.
that we're watching and we're trying to keep it low.
And this is where we're starting, and then we have the whole budget season to hear the reasons why you're pulling your hair out, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was the same thing when I was budget director at Liberty Bank. We gave the rest of the bank a directive of what the budget was gonna increase. This is standard operating procedure. We just need to catch up.
And when I'm sitting here, I gotta be honest with you, when I'm sitting here and I'm hearing our current first selectman say, "You give me a number, I can do it." I mean, I don't think she'd be saying that because it's Monday and I've got nothing else to say. I think she's saying exactly what the reality is. You tell me the structure
Mhm.
and I can work within it. And I think if we are reasonable in setting that number, and I think making a good guesstimate as to generally how the town grand list is going up, and looking at growth and what we think is sustainable, looking at CIP. I mean, in all honesty, looking at the inflation rate, we can make that data is all there, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at it and say, the projection is X, and say, okay, 4.75%. Now I know what I'm working with. I can work with that.
So do we want to try to get, I'm a little vague on, at the November meeting, it'll still be this board.
Correct, because
And
the
then-
terms won't happen until what, 17th,
18th.
18th, they actually, everybody
18th.
sits in their place.
You'll have one more meeting with this board.
Okay. So we could come up with our number at our November meeting, send out a memo before the 18th as
Yep.
this current board.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, because you meet on the 10th,
we should.
so you meet a week before
Yeah.
the transition
Transfer.
date,
Okay.
week and a day.
So, we should tell the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen what we're up to. So they won't be surprised by this memo they're getting from the Board of Finance. So I just wanna make sure everybody is communicated and understand. We're trying to do the best for the town of East Haddam and the taxpayers at the same time. And the kids of the school system and the residents who live here. So we wanna communicate it very carefully and in a fair manner. And I think it'll be fine. Most people, I think most people look forward to it.
Perfect.
Quite frankly.
Okay.
We've gotta do it
On the
right. We
agenda
just
for
can't,
November.
do it and give the impression we're shoving it down their throats. We're using the big club. No, we wanna talk softly and carry a big stick. It's like Roosevelt.
But
One of my
sometimes,
heroes.
but
Roosevelt, I
sometimes
thought
you
that
have
was
to
John
use the
Wayne.
big stick.
Oh, that's Roosevelt.
Sometimes,
So Harvey,
I'm still not sure that Todd's concern has been sufficiently addressed. We could meet on whatever it is, the 10th, send a letter out the 11th saying X is the number. To take account of what Todd's concerned about, which is serious concern, is sometime between our meeting on the 10th of November and pick a date in November, we just say, we're gonna have a special meeting and you guys are invited. And we'll walk through the rationale for what behind this letter.
Yep.
So the big deal then, no, I'm just being facetious now. The big deal then is to find a date and a room.
Well, you could do it on the 19th, which is the third Wednesday of the
Well,
month.
Now we're.
Oh, now you're with the new board though. You
Yeah.
can't do it then.
You don't have a chair
Yeah,
yet.
chair, right, so we're gonna have
That's why the business thing.
3
gets
weeks
in,
when we don't
yeah.
have a chair, right,
Unless,
And they won't have a chair,
right.
unless
and
at our meeting on the 10th, we established
We can't, we don't even
Again,
have, the
you
3
don't know
board
who's-
members aren't.
yeah, they're not in,
10, we will have this board.
no, nobody's in place until the 18th.
You're right, we'll have the old
The
board.
old board, right,
Yes.
right.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
This board could establish at that meeting a special meeting of the Board of Finance for November 19th.
If we have
20.
nobody to lead the meeting, we won't have a, right.
No, you need to do it like
Do your regular
the
business.
11th
Yeah.
or the 12th. Like the
The-
12th would be the second Wednesday of November.
The,
It would still be all the old boards,
whatever you
You
do,
mean December,
November.
November.
November 18th, there'll be new members
That's right,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
board.
it's November 18th, you're right.
There will be a new chairman have to be selected.
Yeah.
That will happen whether you do it on November 19th or January 29th.
So your old boards are still in
You-
place on the 12th. If you did
So
it
you do
at
that, you set the
6.
meeting, the special meeting date could be established for one purpose, which is for the Board of Finance to select its officers. She runs the meeting until a chairman is
Well, why don't
selected.
we
No, not as an employee, I don't.
Why don't we just
No.
have the meeting
This-
before
I
the
do not as an
18th?
employee, I'm not an elected
The
official.
incumbent secretary runs the meeting.
Yeah.
Whoever you want to do it.
Yeah.
My point is you can do it.
I'm not an elected official.
That's how it's always done. Think about how you're gonna pick your officer. I don't care what date you pick.
Why are we-
Happens at.
Right, usually just happens in December at the meeting, why are we complicating?
Sure, why it's important that a new,
Slate.
It's not.
after the, whatever it is, the 19th or whatever of November, there'll be a new board.
Right,
I'm not sure whether you just invite all the people who've been elected to it and sworn in. They don't have to have a chairman. We don't even have to have a chairman. In order to hold a meeting to say, this is an informal, informational session. The Board of Finance that just died on,
November, whatever.
right,
Turn it into a dragon.
has voted that this is the budget target, and we're here simply to inform you as to how they came to that conclusion.
Who runs the meeting?
Well, hire Jack Benny.
No, I mean, I'm asking a serious
You have to
question.
have a chair to
We
run.
don't
yeah.
have, right, so I'm saying, like, instead of complicating it, can we
Does
just
it
get
have
it
to
done
be-
before the 18th? Like, can we look at the calendar?
Does it have to be, I guess I'm asking a stupid question. Does it have to be a meeting of the Board of Finance, the Board of Ed, and the Board of Selectmen? Or can it be an informal, informational session?
Depends on how many people you have there. If you have everybody there, you have
It's a
quorum.
morning.
Yeah, it's a
Everybody here,
meeting.
it's a meeting.
Back up a little bit. This board is going to write a memo that's going to clearly indicate what the target is for the new fiscal year. Financial, the budget target.
At the November meeting,
The November meeting.
theoretically.
And so we're gonna send that memo out to the appropriate people and boards, particularly the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education. And what we wanna do is explain the numbers and the justification of the numbers in that memo.
Could that be done at the tri-board meeting?
could be.
Is it
You can have a-
question mark?
That's kind of late in the game. I personally like to hear what the Board of Education, again, the leadership boards, the Board of Finance, in my mind, Board of Finance, Board of Education, Board of Selectmen. I would like personally to have the leadership boards on the same page. The leadership boards understand what the Board of Finance is saying, agree to it, or understand it. Some may not agree, but they'll have to, but they understand it. Because we have to appear organized and responsible in front of the taxpayers. We have to be all lined up in front of the taxpayers, not in a dictatorial way, but in a way we fully understand this is what we're gonna do. We're marching together.
Can we send out the memo and then invite them to the December meeting, and after we elect the new board, then
You can explain it.
we can explain it?
Yeah, as long as we
Have an
do a
explanation.
genuine attempt to explain it to folks. Some folks are gonna get upset because it's not how they used to do business. And it means they're gonna be a little pinched in some areas probably. But that's why it's so important for all of us to be on the same page.
So, Maureen, is your suggestion that by the time that we hold our December meeting, a regular December meeting, that the other boards will have new members and have organized?
They'll have their new members, they won't have a chair, but they're
But
not.
we would have a
We'll
chair.
have
We
a
would
chair,
have a
they're just
chair.
coming to
We-
listen.
We can
Right.
start that meeting
We'll have a
to get a
chair.
chair. Yeah, we
Yeah, so you could
take care of our
invite them
business to get a
to
chairman.
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds
And
like.
then we just do a
that sounds
presentation
great.
to explain what the memo was, and
I think you
and
hit
they
on
can
it.
discuss it at their next meeting when they elect their chair.
That's why you're getting the big bucks, Maureen.
And then we'll do the tri-board at our regular in January.
January.
Yeah.
We wanna start as soon as possible
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's a lot of work to be done.
And we'll get that back in the beginning of January instead of the end of January.
Okay.
Board of Finance.
You don't like it, Bill?
Nope, but that's okay, like, the odds are I'll be sitting where Mike is.
No, we're not gonna talk.
Let me try this, here, I will come back to it again. When you go to select your chairman after the election, how are you gonna do it? Simple question, you've
Are you
been through
suggesting a
this.
special meeting after the 18th?
No, I asked, at your regular, you're gonna wait till December. How are you going to select a new chairman? What's the process?
You have to have nomination.
You do. Who's gonna run the meeting?
The
Don't you-
incumbent secretary.
What if there's no,
Don't you
Well, that person's not
elect
there.
a temporary
if there's not
secretary?
a secretary, who runs the meeting?
What did we do with the December
We'll
when I
have to
showed
ask
up?
the town clerk.
Yeah, ask it, yeah,
Okay.
and look at the minutes.
Whatever way you want to do
I
it,
could run the
but
meeting.
you could do that in
No,
December.
no, look at our December 6th, 2023 meeting, the first day I started here.
I don't remember
Tracy
that
was
well.
gone and we had the same problem. And we ran the meeting and did nominations and we did it ourselves, but there was something that, you know, we
Temporary
could look.
secretary.
Yeah, there was something that, we
Yeah.
started the meeting that way.
So what are you getting at?
All I'm trying to say is you can do that in any day after November 18th.
Right.
You want. You can run a special meeting. This board that now exists could establish a special meeting somewhere after November 18th to select the chairman. Having done that, you can then carry on with running these meetings because you'll have a chair, as opposed to having everybody get together and nobody's in charge.
No, I thought.
I have the
So
simple,
the
I have a
regular
simple
process-
solution, Mr. Barnett.
Yes, sir.
If you're concerned as the secretary of our august body, that you might not be available to serve as secretary at our December.
After November 18th.
That were you to resign as secretary and Mr. Corbett assume those duties.
I could do that.
Meeting.
We could do that.
Yeah.
And at our meeting in November, we will know what we need to do. I have no problem doing that. But my only point is, the
There's gotta be
sooner
some contingency.
you get the meeting, the sooner we put out the
December
letter,
6th is the
And the
18th.
and the
meeting.
sooner we have the
It's the
meeting
normal way of it.
after 18 November, the better. And we take care of our business. I hate to say this, I really don't care what the Board of Ed does relative to picking a chair. That's their problem. We're having a meeting on this date. We know who the selectmen will be. They're not gonna have to do any picking new officers.
Right.
So the first selectman will be known. The Board of Ed has a superintendent. If they have a president, whoever, come on in on this date, that's when we're gonna do this meeting. Get this process
If
going.
they
I just
start
don't
their-
wanna delay
If
it.
they start their budget in December, I don't know that we need to jump through these hoops, rather than just meet with them December sixth. Our meeting's December sixth.
It's early, yeah, or December 10th.
So again, that's
Yeah,
two different options.
I'm sorry,
Too
8th,
well.
I just made up a number, December 8th.
Okay, when are you going to send, when are we gonna send out the memo delineating the new budget target?
The 11th of November.
Right.
11th of November, Veterans Day.
A question, I have to ask this one. Can we legally meet on a holiday?
That's a good idea.
Well, if we're meeting on the 10th, that's fine. So we'll
Yes,
send it out.
meeting on the
That's fine.
I
I'm
think we
sorry.
skate right by on that one.
Send out the memo on the 10th of November. Okay? So we will have the number prepared and all the justification, as much as we can put in the memo. That'll be ready on November the 10th. Okay? It's,
And, I'm sorry, and then following Ms. Goff's suggestion, we invite the other gangs to our December meeting, which is early December. Soon enough.
when is that in December?
December 8th.
December 8th.
Okay. Okay, we'll call that a presentation meeting, presentation of the memo.
You probably have one of your agenda items as discussion.
Right. Right, so
Okay.
now people have read the memo ahead of time, great. And then now they're gonna be able to ask questions, two-way conversation, and hear our justification, great. And hopefully they'll buy into it without delay. But it's important to have that conversation. Good. And then, so it's only two meetings, actually two dates. Remember the 10th, send out the memo. Well, it's gonna be some work writing the memo between now and then, but that can be done. And then December the 8th, it's a presentation of the memo to the leadership board, the other leadership boards, and to the public. And then we're ready to go into the tri-board meeting. You had a date in January for the tri-board meeting?
The January regular, I would assume, and that was January 12th.
Okay, good. Better than the end of the month like we've been doing the past couple of years. It wasn't our fault, but we ended up there. Okay, everybody okay with that? I am. It's great. It's great.
All right, it's 9:30. What else is on the
Yeah,
agenda?
we still got more things to say.
Harvey, I think you're gonna end up buying us breakfast.
Oh, man. Okay, new business. Review and discuss.
With an English muffin?
Review and discussion of tax increment financing, better known as TIF policy. My first comment, whoa, is that complicated? Holy mackerel. You
So
need a-
just so
need a
you know,
PhD.
just so you know, the reason we have this is because the redevelopment agency had Camoin come in and discuss whether or not we had TIF financing available for any developer that wanted to come into the village and do development. And basically what the TIF policy is all about is giving tax incentives to a developer to come in. And the tax incentive would be like on future tax revenues, we'll give you X amount of dollars toward you not paying any tax so that you can use that money to do the development, that kind of thing. Or that the town would then use those tax dollars to do some infrastructure that needed to be done ahead of time or in lieu of, partnering with these folks. Because they didn't find enough value in the property available downtown, they determined that there's just not enough to do a tax incremental financing package for a developer coming in. However, because they did this and because we spent, you know, it was ARPA money, I think, mostly. But we've spent money on this to get some kind of work done. What we wanted to do was we wanted to capture the work that they did do, the information that they did cull, and use it for a town-wide plan. That whether we did something in Moodus, whether we did some at the Four Corners like where Shagbark is, whether we did something in in the village, that we could put this up on our website, on our EDC page, on our redevelopment agency page, and say, East Haddam is open to having a tax incremental financing program depending on the project that comes forward. So all it is saving the work that was done. It's not anything, it doesn't obligate the town in any way at all. There are no numbers in here that says the town is going to give you X amount of dollars. Every single program that is developed in the future is going to be developed with that particular development that happens. So whether it's Hope Partnership coming in and building, you know, a 16, you know, apartment complex in Moodus, or whether it's somebody coming in and building homes or housing in the village, or a boutique hotel down by the airport, whatever the crazy ideas that come to the town, all this says is, we're open for business, we'd love to talk to you further, let's do it and move on. So again, this doesn't obligate the town in any way, shape, or form to any kind of dollars other than we're open to conversation. So before you get too wrapped up in the craziness of what this is really just keeping intellectual property, putting it on our website and saying, let's talk. How'd I do? Mostly okay.
No, perfectly good. But the thing that you said but didn't stress all that much is any deal that comes forward, any developer's proposal would be evaluated, would have to fit into the TIF policy and be economically sustainable for the town.
Right, and the TIF policy does give parameters for that. And once you have that plan and that comes forward, that all goes to town meeting and it all goes to town vote and the whole bit. So none of this happens without the town being involved and come to a meeting and all that. All this really is an invitation to developers saying, come talk to us.
Our door is open.
The door is open, and it also covers not just the village, it'll cover anywhere in town, you know, and whether or not there's enough there to do anything in town, we don't know, but again, we didn't want to lose all the work that was done on this plan, so.
So what do you need from us, Board of Finance, an approval?
Just-
Acknowledgement that we read this? we
That you
understand
read it, that you're interested, that yeah, definitely put it up on the website, we like the fact that you're open for business, and thank you for all the work that was done to the redevelopment agency. And come on, I mean, that's.
So no letter is needed from us and no vote is needed by us?
As long as you guys are okay with it, we're gonna put it on the website.
I'm certainly okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anybody else? I guess we got a consensus here. Oh, okay. Thanks for spending the night with us.
Well, I hear breakfast is on the table, so. You've been inside Harvey's house, so I'm in.
Okay, item B, grant acceptance, early voting grant 2025.
Yes, this is another early voting grant for what you can only assume to be early voting that's happening as we speak. So the state is gonna give us the $8,256 to support that.
That's the full cost of it?
No, that's what the state's giving us. We kind of get what we get and we don't get upset.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Like in the kindergarten, you know?
Of course. Okay, may I hear a motion?
I'll move to accept the grant in the amount of $8,256.84 from the State of Connecticut, Office of the Secretary of the State, Revenue Account 33050-43000-G2101 and expense account 330-55011-58820-G2101 for the purpose of costs related to implementing and conducting early voting upon the terms and conditions set forth in an agreement between the State of Connecticut, Office of the Secretary of the State, and the Town of East Haddam, and request the Board of Selectmen to schedule a town meeting for the approval.
I second.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Maureen seconds. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. All right, now we go to item C. Grant acceptance fiscal year 2024. Emergency.
Yeah, it's the
management.
FEMA fiscal year, it's federal fiscal year, don't ask questions.
I move to accept a grant in the amount of
Do ask questions.
$5,000 from the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, entitled FY 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant. Revenue account 10542-43000 and expense account 1054270-51590, and request the Board of Selectmen to schedule a town meeting for approval.
Thank you, Bill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Maureen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, folks. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? What?
We
Stand for
can't.
breakfast.
Nobody here is not here. We can't adjourn.
We are here for breakfast.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, folks.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:42.
Thank you.
It says, say the time.
Just help for the recording.